Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. And now, celebrating 15 years of broadcasting, here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again, whether you're tuning in on the radio dial here in Mississippi at WYAD 94.1 FM or through WYADonline.com. We're glad you all could join us. Also, those tuning in through online affiliates around the world, we're glad you all could be with us as well. Author Ashley Brown is making her first appearance on our program today to talk to us about a thought-provoking book that she's written called Letters to the Daughter I'll Never Have. We're going to talk to Ashley not only about the writing of the book, but also about what it's been like for her to share her life with all of us, and the way that she's been able to see the people that she don't know are responding to the book. Now, we're going to actually go into some of the letters that she's written and talk a little bit about that, but also let you all know what she hopes at the end you're able to take away from it. If you're just now finding out about Letters to the Daughter I'll Never Have, I'll ask you, of course, how you can be able to stay connected with you at the end, and then, of course, how you can stay connected with Ashley as well. But, Ashley, hello to you, and welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, the pleasure's definitely all mine. You know, a lot for us to talk about, Ashley, but I want to first of all talk about the journey for you. I mean, what was it like for you to begin these letters and now to be able to see them come together in a book this way?
It's been extremely fulfilling emotionally and you know, professionally to an extent, you know, to have this thing that I made that people are responding to. But the process of writing it was, it came to me as something that I kind of had to do. And so sitting down to write it and create it was, again, not only fulfilling, but it was necessary for me. It brought me a lot of peace and a lot of joy, even through some of the sadness of writing it. And again, then actually deciding to turn it into a book, which was a scary thing to do. I mean, a real book that people would read, and have it out there it's wonderful. I feel blessed.
Right. Well, it's interesting to hear you say that, because one of the letters that I wanted to reference deals with another thing that's scary for a lot of people, actually, and that's social media. You talk about your own feelings about that. How did you get over the dread? Because I think for a lot of people out there who kind of tackle difficult topics for themselves, sometimes I hear people say on this program, the starting of it, is really the most difficult thing, getting over that aspect. How did you get to a place where you said, you know what, this is just something I'm going to do?
Oh, again, the writing is different from the choosing to share it. So the writing part, again, that was easy to just do. Because I kind of needed it to come to peace with my decision not to have a child, and it was a wonderful experience to sit with, this imaginary daughter and share with her. Then, like you said, the process of then putting myself out there, I had some doubts and some panic. I remember talking to a woman who works out of Austin, who she provides guidance to other women, in the business world and just following their dreams. And she's just a friend of mine, and we were having a conversation, and I said, I've sort of hidden myself on, Facebook. I didn't have an Instagram account. I've kept my Facebook world very small. I've hidden from all of that purposefully a lot of my life, just being a bit of a private person and feeling like it made more sense to be real friends with people than Facebook friends. And so it was terrifying to think, well, now I have to, I've made this thing that I want to share with people. And the only way to do that is to join in the social media world. And I'm not sure I got a whole lot of comfort for those fears, but it's what are you going to do? You just do it, and that's sort of that's what advice I've passed along to others is, I can have those fears and it can be scary to now put myself out there but I have to think about all the best stuff that comes, all the conversations. I mean, just it's what you do, these conversations that we have are so fulfilling that it's made it worth it. And so it's just, there are a lot of scary things that come with the good stuff. And I just, had to dive in and accept that and go for it and connect with people, which has been great.
Right. Right. You know, and it's interesting, and I thought about this when I was prepping for this segment initially with you, Ashley, that we're having this conversation about, and it's funny because when I first heard about your book, you know, it was an interesting thing for me growing up. I had it in my mind. You know, people always told me they thought I'd be a good husband, a good father. And then as I got involved in my life professionally, I realized what a disaster I would be as a husband and a father. and it's interesting to hear people say that to me. That I think, oh no, you really don't get it, do you? I don't think I would be, because I would feel, and I even have said this when I'm interviewed, I think I would feel almost resentful. I would do what I needed to do, but I would feel like I was missing out on something professionally because I wouldn't take certain jobs. I wouldn't travel to a place because I have a family and I have this responsibility. So I was really intrigued when I first heard about your book. Then reading it, you know, I have been blessed with a nephew, so, and that's even funny because I love him to death, but, there's such freedom in being able to send him home and to go, and to go on about life. So what was it like for you to go through these different aspects? I mentioned social media. That's one of the things. Of course, other things, there's even a list at the end of the book, but other things that you mentioned about sharing. What was it like for you to realize that you could do that with others without being a mother?
It's a gift to realize that, and I hope that's my. I mean, we'll talk about that, a little later. What I hope for other people and readers and the conversations that we're having, but it not only it's the process began with conversations as I started sharing the fact that I was doing this. The conversation started with my immediate family. Obviously, I'd been talking with my husband about this decision forever. But, then I started talking to my in-laws, then I started talking to my parents and more so with my friends. Again, I've had a lot of conversations about to parent or not to parent with my friends as well and their own personal experiences. And then from there, and those conversations, again, were so enlightening and made me understand my parents and again, my in-laws and people of another generation on a level that I hadn't necessarily before, because maybe, sometimes I think we take for granted not to share certain things with our children. So there are lots of stories about parenting my mom had not told me, or, her experiences of it. And so to get to know those people in my life even better, again, I write in the book at the end that was sort of an unexpected gift. I started the process to share my values and my thoughts and ideas with this imaginary daughter. And instead, or in addition to that, I got to share those things with the family that I do have on a level that we hadn't before. And so that's been, and it continues, and then from there, as I start to just say what I'm doing and share that with acquaintances and people around town, then the conversation gets bigger and bigger. And that also, it's been amazing to me to see how people immediately open up. Just hearing, the title, Letters to the Daughter I'll Never Have, I've had moms talk to me about, they've sort of slowly realized, I feel comfortable saying this now, I've had my own, mothering hasn't been, the best thing in my life. And that's a really hard thing for a mom to say. But, to say, I'm glad you're thinking about it because, I didn't necessarily. And had I known how my life would go, maybe I would have given it, looked at it from different angles. And so it's been truly amazing to have these conversations and for people to just come together from all, whether we're moms or not or fathers or not, to just talk about why we make to be thoughtful, to really just put a lot of thought into our decisions and to listen to one another without judgment, and to find points to relate on, how can we talk about family even if our families look different. So it's been really cool.
Yeah, and I think this conversation, I think, Ashley, others like it. I remember the first time I said something like this on the radio, the response I got from men and women about, it's great that you can, because I think a lot of times a part of the conversation that needs to happen, and I'm sure you've gone through this as well, is how much of others we kind of try to take on by the decisions that we make. and for myself, I really did think, of course I was younger and I didn't really know any better. I just figured I'd be, this particular person and have this particular thing instead of thinking about all that comes with that. And I think being thoughtful is really interesting when it comes to this book. I think the other side of it, too, we're talking about other ways. You are, and I was, kind of curious about this, too, because one of the things we're able to see is that you have other talents, too. I mean, what about being creative? Has that always just been a part of you? Because one thing people will see, of course, there's artwork in the book as well. What was it like for you to find that gift and to birth that? I sort of teared up as you said that, because I'm just now sort of rediscovering my creativity through this process. I shut it down for a long time, and as a little girl, I think as little children, we all are so creative and imaginative, and for a lot of us, that the schooling, just trying to fit in, the fear of failure, you just need, learning to, color within lines, all that stuff, following the rules. There are so many factors, I think, that for some of us, we forget how to be creative, and that's what happened to me. And I became much more comfortable. I was an English teacher, and I have a background in education, and I was much more comfortable guiding others in their creative process and being an editor and teaching them how to write rather than writing, and talking about literature and books. And again, I would scoff at the idea that I was a creative person, but I'm surrounded by creative people. My husband is a poet and author who's fairly as successful as a poet could be in today's world. And he's a musician, and a lot of my friends are musicians and creative people, and they make furniture, and lots of. I'm blessed again to be surrounded by that, and so I don't know if slowly the energy I've been surrounded by gave me the confidence or the inspiration, or if it was just this was the thing I needed to do. And so I relearned how to be creative and get back in touch with my little girl self. And it's like you said, the drawings, I've never shared my drawings with anybody. I do it for fun when I'm bored and put them in a folder. And I never thought of that was enough for me. And so It's been, to have people comment on them and the book, and to share them with other people, and to claim myself now as a proudly creative person has been really it's like rediscovering a new identity. And it's like you're saying, it's sort of like you said, how your life has taken you on a different path than you would have been able to envision for yourself as a younger person, where we just sort of imagine we're gonna we don't really think outside of the box. We think we're gonna be just have a certain job and have a family, and so it's been, again, it's been great to have the freedom to be open to what the universe sort of has plopped in my lap, and to be able to follow this path, and to, like you said, to birth this thing. It's really, this is a bit of a tangent, but my best friend in the world, who I write about in this book, she's the closest thing I have to a sister, and therefore, like you said, you have, a nephew, and you get to experience that. She's very recently had a baby boy, and so I essentially have, a little baby nephew now, and ironically, she gave birth to him on the day my book came out. And oh, wow. And we just talked about our lives have always gone like that. We've been best friends since we were 5, and she even thought, she was so thoughtful as she's going into labor to text me, I can't believe that I'm giving birth to my baby on the same day you're giving birth to your book. I thought that was a beautiful analogy. Right. And it's funny you mentioned that. I wasn't going to go there with you in this conversation, but since you said that, it brings about, I call what I built with Conversations with the radio and TV show here in our book club as my children. I actually tell these as my kids. And I think, saying that, because that really is what I've been able to devote my time to over the past decade, and that's what I've been able to watch grow. And now, of course, you have this gift that you're able to see mature, as people are able to pick it up. You also say a couple other things, though, in the book, and we'll talk around some of this, actually, so we won't spoil it for those who haven't read it. But, you go into other things outside of even the decision not to become a mother. You talk about some of the dark side of your life as you kind of talk about, things that you delved into growing up, but also, of course, being able to be the person you are. One thing that you say in the book that I thought was really interesting our audience would like is that, kind of redefining what it even means to be a woman, and not allowing what society kind of expects to become that thing. How easy was that for you? We talked about the unease that can come with sharing the way that you shared in this book, but how easy was it to grow into yourself as to who you were and who you could become?
Oh, I mean, it's a great and tough question, and I think I'm still doing that. And I will say that it's really easy on a lot of days, and then sometimes you get that sort of anxiety in your stomach, maybe in the middle of the night, or maybe when someone else does sort of, I think as women we do receive messages that were, and again, possibly for men too. I can only speak from my experience, and I claim myself as a woman, but I feel like we receive messages that we may not be complete until we bear children. We often, use the word selfish to describe people who make the decision not to have children, rather than recognizing that, we do have so many other ways to share our passion and our talents and our love and ability to nurture. And so I settling into that has been relatively easy for me, because partly maybe because I don't have a lot of direct pressures on me. There's no one actually in my life judging me for who I am in a negative way. I'm generally very supported and loved by those around me for all my unique traits and my decisions about the sort of untraditional life I'm choosing to lead with my husband. And so to go back to your question, I think that the sort of landing on who I am as a non-parent, it's an ongoing journey, but it's mostly a great one. But of course, we always have, I think most of us have questions and doubts from time to time.
Right.
So again, I think it's always, it's ongoing. It's ongoing.
Right. Well, I think that's it, and I think that's one of the bigger lessons in this book for me, Ashley, is that life is like that, right? It continues to evolve, and just like we grow, just like children grow, we continue hopefully to grow, not only up but also into ourselves. Is that part of the hope that you do have? Is that people realize that no matter what life you choose, the important thing is that it's a life that is full of fulfillment and not regret?
Absolutely, and a life, of thoughtfulness and intent and intention, and realizing, I would love to provide comfort to even one person who might be wondering, if they have to fit a certain mold, or if there's something they have to do to make their, I think that it's really what I've learned. Something that comes to mind a lot that I tell myself and that I would tell anyone is it's all okay. It's okay. It's however you choose to lead your life, as long as it's a thoughtful life and, a compassionate life and a life lived with intention. It's all okay. It's not our little, this gives me so much comfort. My teeny tiny minuscule life in the grand scheme of things. The only thing that matters to me is the energy that I contribute to the world. I don't know why it would matter to the universe if I bear one child or 6 children or no children, or if I choose to, view my pets as my children instead. I don't think that matters. It's okay. It's okay. And right. That's the biggest thing I want to share with other women and men is, who are working to make or have made a decision about to be or not to be a parent or any other really major life decision. As I would want them to feel at peace with their decision, and just acknowledge that, like you sort of said, about, again, this idea that we're always growing, acknowledging the joy and the wonder of what our life is becoming, and that we don't have to have answers necessarily, and it doesn't have to look like anything else, but to just enjoy the wonder of this journey that we're on. And I'm getting a little hippy dippy maybe, but it's important. Yes, I feel very passionately about hoping to provide that comfort to people, because I think it's really sad if we're beating ourselves up or thinking we have to be something to truly matter. Just being ourselves, our best selves, is what matters.
That is so true. And I think that goes to one of my favorite passages in the book, and I think I will probably have to mention this when I write my review on Amazon, Ashley, because I think it sums up so much about this book and this conversation. The subject of the letter is when someone says something mean to you, and this is what you ended up by saying. And I think this is the big thing. Try to appreciate how complex everyone is, how much we don't understand about the personal pains and inner words of one another. Try to remember that some people may not love themselves enough to be very good at loving others. Most important, love yourself, flaws and all, and be kind and be aware. And I think that is, the great reminder for all of us, I think, regardless of the life that we're able to live, whether we're single or married, with or without children, that all of us have our own lives that we're dealing with, and try to kind of keep that in mind as we are dealing with other people. Again, everyone, Ashley Brown has been our guest. Great conversation with you, Ashley. The book is Letters to the Daughter I'll Never Have. It's available through our friends at Amazon.com. Of course, you can get it there. And, Ashley, how can our audience stay connected with you?
Visit my website. It's ashleyauthor.com, so author as in writer, so ashleyauthor.com, and you can reach me through that website, and then Facebook and Instagram. I'm Ashley Author on Instagram, and so or Ashley Brown Author, but that's all on the website. So yeah, visit me, and I'd love to hear from people and keep the conversations going.
Sounds like a plan. We love a great conversation around here. Ashley, congratulations to you, and thank you so much for the time, and looking forward to our next chat together.
Oh, thank you so much, Cyrus. I really enjoyed talking with you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. If you all came in late, you missed part of the conversation with Ashley, don't worry. Thanks to our online friends, you all can catch the replay right after we go off the air. The link is already available through our social media sites. So head over to Facebook.com/CyrusWebb or go to Twitter.com/CyrusWebb. If you click on the link there, you can listen to the show completely for free and share with your friends from there too. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Make sure you take out time to enjoy some good music as well as a great book. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live. Let's make it a great one.